So I think we figured out that the government is pretty corrupt in this series, but we didn't realize just how corrupt until this episode. So we find out where Nick went, and it's not a good place. It's basically some kind of makeshift prison, and he meets a new friend who, I guess he's a friend. I think this guy is going to be like a pivotal character in this series from now on, and he ends up helping him a little bit later. But we also see that guy Douglas. You remember him? He ran away from like his family in the neighborhood because he was like totally freaked out and crying all the time. Yeah, well, that was probably a bad idea because it looks like he was apprehended somewhere and sent to this prison, and he has a breakdown in this prison, and he's taken out of there, which, what do you think that means? Yeah, I think they totally killed him. So Ophelia is really upset because, you know, they took her mom away because she was super sick, and she shows up at, I guess what you could call like the base or the place, the hospital where they're keeping all these people, and she's like demanding to see her mom and throwing rocks at the fence, and the soldiers are like, okay, this girl is crazy, we have to do something about this. They don't want to let her in, and the only person who's kind of nice to her is like her soldier, I guess, boyfriend, and he's like, guys, please, you know, just leave her alone. She just wants to see her mom. Well, they don't want to leave her alone. In fact, they're like pointing guns at her. They want to shoot her. I mean, it's all chaos, you know. There's not really an importance on human life anymore unless you're part of the government, sadly. But thankfully she doesn't get shot, and Ophelia's boyfriend offers to take her back home, which is like a very, very, very big mistake on his part. Honestly, I feel bad for the guy, and this is Sean Hatosi playing this role. He was kind of a big deal, maybe like early 2000s in a lot of movies, and I'm glad to see him in this role again. I think he does a good job with this. So, unfortunately, when he takes Ophelia home, her dad, Daniel, pretty much kidnaps him and keeps him as like a prisoner of war, and it gets worse from there because he starts torturing him. Literally, I can't deal with this. I feel like Daniel's just not a very nice guy. I mean, I kind of understand what he's doing, but I think that Ophelia's boyfriend is a good guy who's just kind of like at the wrong place at the wrong time and feels like he has to follow, you know, the government's orders. It's just a really big mess. But he wants the soldier guy to give answers about what's going to happen to their family members, but I don't think they want to know those answers, but they will get them a little bit later. So Travis decides he's just going to go out and try to find his own answers. He goes to this area where they're keeping all the different people who are his friends and family and a whole bunch of other people. And he's trying to talk to the soldiers who, let's just be honest here, are total, complete jerks. And he really doesn't get anywhere. But they want to see like what Travis is made of, basically. So they tell him like he needs to shoot and kill a girl who's already turned into a zombie. And he's kind of apprehensive about doing it, but he decides to do it. But then when he looks at her and sees that, you know, she once was a human, obviously she's not now, he just can't go through with it. And then they think he's just kind of, you know, like a weak person because he doesn't go through with it. Whatever, like who cares what those guys think, because they're just complete jerks, like I said. Well, things are really getting out of control in this California city, which I guess is Los Angeles or a suburb of LA. So much so that the soldiers are no longer like patrolling and trying to pick up people and bring them to the prisons and do whatever with them. They're actually fleeing. They're trying to get out of there. They know things are just not going to get better. They're going to get a lot worse, and they're done with it. So many of them are just like getting out of there, you know. So that doesn't make the people who are non-soldiers feel very good because they know that things are not going to improve. Like, if the government's giving up, well, what does that tell you? So Nick almost gets taken away, and when we say taken away, you know, from this prison, that pretty much means he's going to be killed. But this new guy, and I didn't catch his name through the whole thing, maybe you did, let me know down below. This new guy who I think is going to be a big character, he kind of barters for him to stay there. He gives this soldier some cufflinks, and we find out before, like, he'd given the soldier a watch for some other deal. I honestly found this person, this character, kind of ridiculous and like way over the top. And the fact that someone's worried about cufflinks and a watch when they know like the world is pretty much coming to an end seems strange to me as well. Like, why would the soldier want that kind of stuff? I don't know. I just felt all of that. This new character was just so silly and just really overly dramatic and ridiculous. Maybe we'll find out like next episode or next season, like why he's so important, or maybe he will be less silly. But did you guys think that? Thumbs up if you thought that he was just pretty ridiculous, because I totally did. So Griselda is just not doing well at all. This is Ophelia's mom, Daniel's wife. She was super sick, you know, with that injury, I guess, to her ankle. and she's at the hospital, the government hospital. She has had her foot amputated. She's not doing well. They've kind of left her to die, though. They honestly, you know, like I said, they don't really have a lot of regard for human life at this point. So the scenes of Daniel torturing the soldier were just way too much for me. He was like cutting into his arm. I don't know what else he did to him. It was brutal. It made me think less of Daniel as a character, as a person. And, you know, like I said, I think that this soldier guy is not that bad of a guy, and what was happening to him was terrible. Just absolutely awful. But he tortures him so much that he ends up confessing that really, really, really bad things are going to happen. And by really, really bad things, I mean everyone's going to die, except for the government. They're actually going to try to humanely kill everyone else. And it's happening really fast. Like it's happening tomorrow. So, of course, everyone totally freaks out at that news. Then Griselda ends up dying, and she knows that she wasn't supposed to die, that she probably could have lived. She knows they gave up on her. Just a terrible scene there. It was kind of a super depressing episode, which, come on, this is a super depressing show. I'm not expecting like super happy episodes to come after this one, obviously. So the episode ends with Daniel going to check on some information that soldier gave him. The soldier told him there was like this stadium where they ended up leaving a bunch of people. Now, half of the people were zombies. The other half were just innocent people. They were overwhelmed. They couldn't tell who was infected and who wasn't. So they locked like all these people up into the stadium, which was just totally terrible. So Daniel goes there to see what's going on there, and it's all locked up still, but it sounds really insane because he can tell that by now everyone is a zombie. So foreshadowing, it looks like next week's episode he's going to kill the soldier, which is awful. And who knows what other kinds of craziness is going to happen, because this is the final episode of the first season of Fear the Walking Dead. I gotta tell you that I'm not super excited for a second season. I felt still that this episode was really, really slow. And like I said, with the introduction of the new character, very bizarre. And you know, it's not a terrible show. I don't dislike the show, but I guess I had higher hopes than what it's turned out to be. So what do you guys think about it? I would love to hear your thoughts below. Are you excited for a second season? Are you kind of thinking it's slow like I am, or do you love it? If you totally love it, that is cool as well. Just let me know down below. But if you like these types of videos, be sure to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe, because you don't want to miss my video on next week's finale. So thanks so much for watching this episode of Kellie TV, and I'll see you next time.